So the talk of things right now is Hurricane Irene, and I mentioned in the other video just before I headed out that there were quite a few hurricanes that I can remember, Katrina being probably the most devastating one that touched down in the United States in my adult life, although Andrew was a bad one too. I don't know the statistics on either of them. That's just, I'm gauging by what I remember people's reaction to. Maybe Katrina just seemed worse because it was more recent. Maybe Andrew was just as bad. I don't know. But in any event, what's going on right now is Hurricane Irene, and I was very concerned as to what the outcome could be. No matter where you live, you're destined to deal with some excess in weather. We're in the northeastern United States, so snowstorms are a possibility all during the season, and maybe even a little before and a little after the season. About 5 years ago, we had an early storm in October, and of course, I'm pretty much prepared for snow. I've got this big four-wheel drive, and I do have a snowplow for it, so that part of it's not a big deal. Sometimes it snows faster than you can clear it, or faster than you can get through it, but most of the time, not too bad. Even when storms do happen, we can usually dig out and keep functioning. Mostly because we're prepared for it. We get that here; it's a normal thing, and we're prepared. Like I said, earthquakes. If you live on the west part of the country, hurricanes on the east and south coasts, tornadoes a little more inland, and so we get something. You get something no matter where you live, it seems. And even if you're not right in the eye of the hurricane, there are other things that can affect you. Heavy rains cause major flooding, especially where mountains and rivers come together. So if the eye of the hurricane doesn't touch down exactly where we are, there's still a lot of river bodies and some mountain higher elevations, and so flooding is a possibility also, and something we really can't do anything about other than get out of the way if it comes. What I don't understand is how some people just feel that they need to ignore some of the weather advice. And I'll admit I'm just as guilty of that too, with snowstorms and things like that. I'll be like, I'm 40 years old, I've dealt with snow before, we've had lots of storms, I'm not sure this will really happen. A lot of times it doesn't really happen, or it happens but not to the degree they think it will, and I'm like, well, gee, I'm glad I didn't go underground for this one. This wasn't too bad. No, I didn't go to the local grocery store and get all the bread and milk. You had enough in the fridge to get through a day or two, and we didn't panic. I usually don't panic. And sometimes the storm is everything they say it's going to be. Probably two of the worst storms I can remember weren't really predicted, but even at that, I'm probably just as guilty as anyone else. Hurricanes, however, I would be a little bit more frightened of than a snowstorm. Maybe that's because we're not accustomed to having them where I live. Maybe that's just my nature. Maybe that's just something that scares me more. But I think if there was the possibility of the eye of the hurricane being right where I am, and the advice was to evacuate, I would round everyone up and I would evacuate, and I would get out of there quick. I'd attach the camper to the hitch of this truck and head for somewhere where where it wasn't felt it was going to come. Now again, I don't do similar things when they predict a snowstorm, so maybe it's just I'm more familiar with a snowstorm, so it doesn't frighten me as much. My scariest driving experience didn't happen in the Northeast, even though I've just spent the last 4 minutes telling you how used I am to snow. My scariest driving experiences, I happened to be in Huntsville, Alabama, and I was coming up along Interstate 59. You can actually be in 3 states in the span of about 45 minutes. you can be in Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. And I remember thinking that the median of the expressway was awful dirty. And next thing I knew, I came to the realization that that was wind blowing things there. It wasn't normally like that. Then there was very, very heavy rain, hard rain, like being in a car wash. And I remember at some point just getting ahead of that. I couldn't see my hood, literally. And it's very frightening because you really don't know who's where on the road. Then you get a glimpse of things, you think you're going to be okay, and it hits you again. Got ahead of that storm, I got off the road, and I just phoned in. I'm like, no, I can't go any further. This is just... And I wasn't exactly a kid. I was 26, 27 years old at the time. I mean, I wasn't that inexperienced of a driver. I'd certainly seen my share of weather before, but that was the most frightening thing ever for me. And like I said, I was acclimated to snow, but this rain was worse. It was like being in a car wash. Alright, that's my talk for now.